Hey there guys, welcome to the next video here on the Duct Tape Stuff channel. Welcome to part 1 of making a duct tape dress. Now before we dive headfirst into this tutorial, I want to make sure that you guys have watched the preparation video, which is right up here. This video kind of explains exactly everything you need to know before you start working on your duct tape dress, like where to find a dress, the kind of duct tape that you're going to need, and a whole bunch of other info that you can use before you even start working on the dress here. So if you haven't seen this video about duct tape dress preparation, definitely check out that video first and then come back to this video, because this video is going to be building on all the information that I pretty much gave you in this video up here. So as you can see, I have a black dress here on a dress form, and like I said in the preparation video, you don't need a dress form or a mannequin or anything. You'll probably just be wearing this dress and other people will help you stick the duct tape onto it. One thing I did not go over in the preparation video was how much duct tape you're going to need. If you're working on something like this dress here, which I'll give you a better look of it in a second, you're going to need approximately 40 to 45 yards of tape, sometimes close to 50. So if you buy like 3 20-yard rolls, you're pretty much going to have enough there. And that's if you're using all one solid color. I'm going to be using the traditional gray tape and the purple tape here to kind of give it a little bit of a cool pattern. And of course, like I covered in the preparations video, I'm going to be showing you how to add the petals to the bottom in kind of like a staggered pattern, the flower petals. So it's going to be a pretty cool tutorial. So let's get started on taking out some tape here and start to cover the dress. Alright, so just to give you guys an idea of what the dress looks like here, it's a button-down dress from the very front, as you can see, and it's pretty much all black, and it's like that all the way around the entire part of the dress. So that's the kind of dress I'm going to be working. It doesn't have any sleeves, as you can tell, and now I'm going to be to apply the duct tape to the top of the dress and kind of just working my way around from there. So let's get started on that. Alright, so I'm going to start at the top here with the purple duct tape, as you can see here. And the key to when you're applying the duct tape to the fabric is that whenever you're applying it to a certain part that curves, which is this part up here obviously, this part that probably curves the most on the dress, which is right above the shoulders, you want to make these strips of tape a lot smaller. You can kind of make them a lot larger when you get down to the part of the dress that kind of, just falls naturally. But when it comes to parts of the dress that really curve, you want to use smaller strips of tape, and that will just allow it to breathe and allow it to flex a little bit better. So this one has like a really obvious edge to it. It's kind of sewn on both sides. So I'm going to do is I'm going to apply the tape straight onto that part there. And of course this is a black dress, so I'm going to be able to see exactly where the parts of the dress that aren't covered up when I apply the strips here. If you encounter any imperfections or anything in the tape and you don't want that to appear on your dress, just simply discard that piece of tape or just cut around it, because eventually as you wear your dress, it will definitely start to get crinkled and everything, so you pretty much don't want to add to those imperfections as they come up on the dress after you wear it a few times. So now let's start applying a few more strips here. Okay, so it really helps to keep working on a certain section before you move on to the next one. So I'm just going to simply apply this onto here. Once again, if you don't have like a dress form like this, you're just going to be wearing this dress, and you'll probably have people help you stick these on, rather than you doing it all yourself, because that would be kind of tricky. So I'm applying that there. You can overlap a little bit, of course. You definitely want to stick it down as hard as you can, and that'll just prevent it, from peeling up at all. Once again, this kind of curves down here for obvious reasons, so we're going to apply that piece there, and then we're going to work on the sides. There are buttons on this dress, so I'm actually going to have to unbutton it, put a little bit of duct tape on, cut a slit for the button, and then I can actually decorate the buttons with duct tape as well, so that'll be something kind of cool. So now I'm going to start working on this side over here and just pretty much start working down the dress. So going to the other side, I'm just going to simply do the exact same thing. Once again, sticking it down as hard as you can, because you definitely want the tape to stick to the fabric. Duct tape doesn't always stick to fabric really well. It depends on really the kind of fabric. This is kind of like a suede, so we want to make sure that it definitely sticks down on top of that. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing that I did on the other side here. Kind of go all the way to the lip of where the shoulder is, and just stick that entire piece down. Purple is going to be kind of like the solid background color for this. I'm going to kind of do a little bit of a gray, with a style with that. So it's kind of like whenever you're making a painting or something, you always want to pick a color for the solid background and then use that as much as you can, and then you can kind of just, design from there. So that covers pretty much the two shoulders. Now I'm going to start working on the front part of the dress, and I'm going to show you what it looks like when you're trying to cover part of the button here. So after applying a few more strips, you're really going to start to see the dress turn purple, as you can see here. So I've unbuttoned the top button, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you exactly how to cover up the buttons here. This is just really in case if your dress does have buttons. If it has like a zipper in the back, I'll show you how to do that. This dress doesn't have it, but I'll definitely show you how to do that as well. So here's the button loop right here, and the button's on this side, of course. I've covered pretty much close to that button. Now what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to cover up that entire piece there. And it's still really easy to tell where the button is. If you do get a little bit of overlap, you can simply just wrap that around the back inside the dress and do that as best you can. Now what you want to do is take one of your hobby knives, as you can see here, and we're going to look exactly where it is on the dress here. What you can do is you can actually come from the inside and kind of just, slice it from there. Definitely don't want to slice the fabric, so just be very careful about that. And you can just make the simple the button right there, and that's a really simple way of doing it. You do want to make sure it's nice and stuck down, because as you kind of mess with that, it will definitely kind of mess up after a while. It might come separated from the fabric, but as you can see, it pretty much covers up the entire fabric underneath, and you can tell it just has the button on the inside, and that's really easy to decorate. From the inside, you're just going to decorate all around the button, and that's pretty simple with just smaller strips. One more tip I can give you is that you definitely want to keep applying the strips in kind of an up and down fashion, and you want to do that throughout the entire dress. One of the problems with putting the strips horizontally is that they tend to tighten the dress. I'm not exactly sure why, but that for some reason that's just what happens when you try to apply them horizontally. So definitely try to do them up and down, and you just want to do them in bars all the way around the dress, and that's kind of what I'm going to be doing with this. So let me decorate a little bit more here, and I'll show you exactly what we're going to be doing with the little bit of a decoration and the petals eventually. Now here's another issue that you might encounter when you're trying to cover your dress with duct tape. I'm not sure if you can kind of see it, but since the dress is kind of stretched tight over the dress form here, it's kind of like rippling the fabric a little bit. Normally that wouldn't be a huge problem, like if you're just wearing the dress made out of fabric, but since we're covering it with duct tape, we need to make sure that the fabric is pretty much as totally flat as possible. So what we need to do is, if we are applying this strip of tape on here, we don't want there to be all those ripples in it or those waves. So what we're going to do is we're going to pinch the dress at the bottom, and then we're simply going to stick it on from there. Whenever you're applying strips to the dress, you want to pretty much apply it onto a perfectly straight and flat sheet of fabric, and you also want to make sure that it's pretty much tight up against your body when you're sticking it on. That way it will allow it to form to the fabric as much as possible, because that's really what we're doing, is we're kind of creating another layer that has to breathe and flex with the fabric as much as possible. Since the duct tape is definitely going to make the fabric really rigid, it's going to work against that, but you definitely want to make it as much as possible. Try to make sure that it molds the fabric as much as you can. Okay, now this segment will pretty much wrap up this part of the video. This is part one of how to make a dress, and the second part I will show you pretty much how to work on the petals and really starting to decorate it. So we're going to pretend that this dress has a zipper on the back, and that's kind of what the dress in my dress preparation video had. I'm pretty much going to show you how to work with that. So it kind of has a little bit of a part here on the dress where it was sewn together. We're going to assume that's part of the zipper. So what we're going to do, if it does have a zipper in the back, we're going to take two long strips of tape, and you want them to be pretty much the entire length of the zipper, so if it goes to right about here, that'll work out well. You're going to stick one strip on one side of it to come all the way down on one side right there. It shouldn't be too much of a problem. It shouldn't be really wrinkled at all because this is way up on the dress. So that's one side of the imaginary zipper. The other thing we're going to do is take another strip of tape, and we're simply going to apply that on the other side. And since if there is a zipper in the middle, it's definitely going to leave a little bit of a mark, so you will be able to have like a little crease in there. There are a few ways of getting around that. I will talk about that in part two, but that's pretty much what you want to do. Sometimes, since you can't really wrap a strip of tape around inside there to prevent this strip from peeling up, what you can do is, if you have a few basic sewing skills, you can sew the duct tape actually into the fabric, and that'll actually keep that piece from just peeling up. Wherever there's a piece of duct tape stuck onto the fabric and there's no strip of duct tape supporting it like kind of like a scale pattern, it does have the potential to kind of peel up. And I will be talking about ways that you can kind of prevent it from, you know, from coming up on the sides, like kind of on these sides over here in the second part of the video. So watch out for that coming soon. By then I'll have pretty much the entire thing covered, and we can start working on the decoration and just, you know, really coming up with the best way to pretty much show off the dress. So hopefully you guys like this video, and I'll catch you next time on the channel for part 2 coming soon.